Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Remove Film from Tray with myself, the Count, my good friend Slushie.
Hello.
And Mortis, a wonderful man who makes all of this possible.
Thank you. Hello.
Hey, today's episode we're going to be covering some scary movies that Slushie has never seen before. And by scary movies, I mean technically horror, but also really good movies.
I'm so glad it hasn't come up yet, but happy Friday the 13th, everyone.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
It's October, Friday the 13th.
Sure is, and we didn't watch a single Friday the 13th movie for this episode.
Well,
that's fine.
Slushie's on this thing that I don't understand about hating Halloween and hating horror. So we can't do that. You're the star of this episode, though, so.
I've tried in recent years to get into... Okay, so here's my history with horror films. When I was five? Six? When I was 5 or 6, I saw... When I was 6, no, I was probably 7, just based on time frames. When I was 7, my mom had a VHS copy of Arachnophobia, right?
Yeah.
No, I guess I could have been 5. I looked up the wrong film. Came out in 1990, before I was born. My mom had a VHS copy of Arachnophobia. One day when I was home by myself with nobody supervising me, I watched it, and that was a fucking mistake. It fucked up my life forever. I am deathly afraid of spiders IRL, and I blame that film. I have seen it, or parts of it, again since, and in the scenes that I remember most, one of them used a real spider.
Yeah, there was a lot of like real spider.
Yeah, but like the scenes that definitely traumatized me are like the shower scene, which had real spider, and then the fight with the spider in the basement where he's like throwing wine bottles at it, and that was very clearly a fake and shitty looking spider.
It's like a giant spider, right? At that point.
Yeah. Yeah. Looking back, it looked bad.
What about the one where the spider like bites that old dude on the toilet? Doesn't that happen?
Spiders on the popcorn, spiders on the door.
Oh yeah, the popcorn. And it gets in that kid's football helmet, I think. I've read the Marvel comic. I have the Marvel comic.
There's a Marvel comic?
Yeah, it's just an adaptation.
No idea.
It's like a
weird.
Our friend, rest his soul, what's his name? The Warlock is in that film.
Julian Sands.
Julian Sands, yeah.
So because you saw Arachnophobia when you were 5, you hate horror forever?
No, so like that's part 1 of it. Part 2 of it is when The Ring came out.
Oh, you saw that Ringu?
No.
So Ringu?
You'll see that Ringu?
The American version of Ring. I understand you guys are doing a bit, but
the
American version of Ring. The Ring. My parents rented that, and it was either in the summer and I was on, summer vacation, or it was like after I dropped out of school. I don't remember which. Time is a fucking mystery. Anyway, I saw that by myself in the middle of the day, and that fucked me up beyond belief. For a decade, well into my 20s, I would not walk into the bathroom fully until I had turned the light on.
Oh, okay.
And like, usually, the light switch is right inside the bathroom, and I still have troubles with this sometimes. Because like, there's that one scene where she sees Samara in the mirror, right?
Yeah.
And
there's
so
mirrors
like
in various places.
Yeah, so like it fucked me up, and I've tried in the past couple years to get a little more into horror because I know that she's Samara in the American one. Sorry, Raptor. Welcome. Sorry. that whole thing before the show, and then I do it. Anyway, fucking it. I don't know. It just fucked me up. I still have issues with it sometimes on certain days. And like in recent years, I tried to get more into horror, tried to like get over myself, explore a genre that I feel like I've been missing out on because like a lot of my friends are very into horror and horror themes, and like I can get behind horror themes as long as it's not trying to be, as long as it's not trying to like get you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And like recently, you know, like I played the Resident Evil remakes, and like Resident Evil 2 remake was very difficult for me to play because when
Those
Mr.
things
X
get
starts
gross.
They get gross, and like when Mr. X starts chasing you,
yeah,
and like you can just hear him thumping around, and then he's suddenly behind you and you can't really stop him and you just got to run away. Like when I was playing that, my entire body was like just super tensed up, almost to the point of pain at some times or at some points. And like I managed to play it all. I managed to beat it. I played through, you know, the 3 remake and the 4 remake, which really isn't scary and it was just fun. And like I'm a part of the way into Resident Evil 7. Like I've finished with the father's segment and I'm on the mother's segment.
That's the Texas Chainsaw one.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I can't go back to it. I can't. It's too much. And like I know I'm on this thing about like where I'm talking about I hate Halloween and all that shit. It's just I'm like, you know, if people who know me know that there's a lot of changes going on in my life right now. So like I'm stressed out. I'm moving to Sweden soon. I'm leaving to get married in Sweden in 2 weeks. So like shit's stressful and horror stresses me out. And I feel bad sometimes for not wanting to be involved in stuff that's happening, especially with you two guys who are huge horror fans. And it's, you know, we're doing a fucking podcast about movies and it's October.
Yeah,
And
thanks for ruining Halloween with your wedding.
Well, I'm not getting married in October.
I didn't think we were going to have a therapy session.
I'm just like, I don't know.
You're doing fine.
Horror is too much. It's too much for my little
I think you would
brain.
like slashers because they're not trying to get you. They're just fun.
Well, they kind of are.
Yeah, slashers can be fun, especially like the classic ones that are like the worst that's going to happen is like there's a jump scare, but like it's you can always kind of see it coming and it doesn't really get me usually.
Right.
The shit I deal with, or the shit I have the most issue with, is like the psychological horror and like the.
Well, you better stay out of Steam,
right?
Yeah, no
little
kidding.
joke.
Don't even get me started on that shit. but like fucking like horror movies in the 2000s, it feels like, I'm sure it was a big issue earlier as well. Not issue. I'm sure it was a trend earlier as well, or people have done it earlier. But
you got all mad last time about how there were so many cheap horror movies.
Right. But it's like in the early 2000s, there was this renaissance of like movies that are like just jump scares.
Right.
And almost nothing else.
Yeah.
And growing up in that era, I think, is really what got the more angry side of my disliking horror thing to develop. So I don't know.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
The movies we watched this week, I enjoyed.
Horror, and I didn't like horror until Evil Dead. I was like, oh yeah, okay, I get it. But
I was always scared, but I loved it. of horror movies. I was the baby of the family, so my siblings just put on whatever the fuck they wanted to put on, and I was forced to watch it.
Yeah, almost. I don't know. Almost never really saw. I can't really think of any like horror movies that I saw. It was mostly just posters and VHSs, covers, commercials. Sometimes Freddy grew up in the times of Freddy being a celebrity. weird shit.
Yeah, my sisters love Freddy, so we'd watch those pretty often. Probably about the same time Slushie was watching Arachnophobia.
Yeah, I hope we picked out films that you liked.
Well,
I didn't want to get you. I just wanted you to see good movies.
Yeah, I understand.
Because you've only seen Wachowski movies before running afoul of us. So we have to do something about that.
Look, the Wachowskis are great filmmakers. Very divisive.
And Roland Emmerich movies.
Right, yeah. Volcano. But the first movie we watched, Slushie didn't even fucking see, but Count showed The Swimmer, which he was marketing as a horror movie. Which
I was, and I think that it is.
Yeah.
In a way. I'm guessing you don't.
Not so much. I don't know.
Slightly psychological thriller confusion. I don't know what the fuck this movie's about.
Well, so here's the raw synopsis of The Swimmer. A man, Burt Lancaster, spends the entire film in swim trunks, running through the beautiful countryside from house to house, swimming through their pools and just having an existential meltdown as he goes.
Right. And some of it's a bit horror and some of it's a bit just interesting. It's not like scary, but it's a unique movie.
I think it's like the tagline. This movie has one of the longest taglines I've ever seen, which here on the poster, if you're watching the video version, when you talk about the swimmer, will you talk about that yourself? There's like a full paragraph that I don't recall on IMDb, but it's just like, it's like they're marketing this movie as like an intellectual fucking I don't know, just symbolism, discussion film. But
there's things to be discussed, but it's also like you can't even know.
I didn't think I would like this, but as I, almost immediately it was gripping, and like,
yeah,
interesting, because this guy, he's just like, you're just going from sort of rich backyard party to rich backyard party, and Burt Lancaster is the through line, and like, you start to wonder, like he's talking about, he's going home, he's got his life back home, his kids are playing tennis, and like you're meeting these characters that he's met in his life, and like it pretty early it's evident that something weird is going on, and he's he's like mistaken about something, or he's lying about something, or like the relationships that we're seeing are not like what they are evident on the surface. It was interesting. I don't know.
So at surface level, also mild spoilers, skip ahead 2 minutes, whatever, if you're listening. Can we take it at surface level that it was one afternoon? Or what was going on there?
I don't know. Sure, I guess.
It feels like time was like being really weird.
There's I don't know what to say about The Swimmer.
Because at the start of the film,
I don't know what to say about myself.
Yeah. The start of the movie, he's friends with the first group, and they're treating him well and with respect. And then by like the third encounter with people, they're like really starting to treat him with less respect, and that goes on, and he's sort of like degrading and devolving himself as the movie goes on. And it's like, dude, you should just stay with those first people, maybe, or just gone home.
Right. It just seems to be like a sort of what's the word? Just like retrospective, symbolic look of like an upper class life with delusions and like realizing what's delusions and what mattered,
There's one poster / DVD cover on IMDb that makes it look like a romance, which is funny hearing you guys talk about it.
There's some of the you can call the things vignettes, which I was going to do, and I should have just kept talking, but there's a couple of them are like, romance. The one here that you've posted, he sort of reunites with like this girl who babysat his daughters, and she's like, I was in love with you, and he's like, you should have told me, and then he gets weird and she's like not into it anymore and she runs off. But yeah, like there's romantic elements, multiple, Can
we talk about her for a moment?
Sure.
How old did you think that she was?
$17.
Okay, now this is just, we're examining the film on a level where I'm acting like kind of an idiot, but also just thinking about it. Because later on in the movie, he talks about other people are talking about his daughters being grown and like getting into car accidents and drinking and driving. So they're clearly older than this woman has to be if she babysat his children.
Well, you only have to be probably like 4 years older than someone to babysit him, right?
Sure, but if she's 17 and she was the babysitter,
but she's got like a job in New York or whatever, so maybe she's like probably in her 20s. Maybe.
Could be.
I don't know. She looked pretty young.
Maybe she's older and he just sees her as she looked.
Yeah.
Could be something like that too.
She babysat his daughters.
There's a lot of horse symbolism in the movie. I didn't really get that.
A lot of horse.
Like he sort of like fantasizes a horse at one point and then runs a race with the horse, and then like
maybe the freedom aspect. I don't know.
You don't fantasize about horses?
Not usually.
The horror for me is when he's like getting cold. Like throughout the movie,
right?
Like just the idea of being out there exposed to the elements is kind of strange and creepy. And
yeah, I mean, it seems to be a warm summer day, but as the movie goes on, he's like getting more and more cold and like physically disturbed, and his feet are all dirty and like even kind of bloody because he's just running miles and miles. I think this was a good and interesting movie. It was a nice surprise.
Yeah, I think it's worth watching. Just have some sort of idea of what you're getting yourself into.
It's based on a short story or a novel?
Apparently, I never read it, though.
Yeah.
The famed John Cheever short story appeared in the New Yorker and People Talk. Now there will be talk again. When you sense this man's vibrations and share his colossal hang-up, will you see someone you know or love? When you feel the body blow power of his broken dreams, will it reach you deep inside where it hurts? When you talk about the swimmer, will you talk about yourself?
Yeah, that's the paragraph.
Also, it's on Tubi, which I didn't know. I had to. I watched it on Tubi.
You're just backpedaling on that?
Backpedaling a little bit.
All right.
There was something I read. A lot of people are not going to understand this film. Many will loathe it. Others will be moved deeply. The detractors will be the most vocal. Its supporters will not have high-powered counter-arguments.
Damn, I wish I had a high-powered counter-argument about now. I don't know. One surprising thing about Count's Count's little movie group. It's suffered a blow lately because Count is moody and aggressive.
This is true.
So the numbers are lower than they have been. But nobody hated this movie. Like a lot of people that Count was showing this to were like, "Damn, this is good. This is interesting." So
yeah, everyone was into it.
yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. Just maybe some chaff have been blown off.
Yeah,
who knows?
You gotta show things that others clearly haven't seen, so they don't spoil them or anything.
Right. No, it was good. It's good. It's sort of like Falling
That
Down if Falling Down was a symbolism. I don't know.
I want to see Falling Down.
I like it.
Yeah, we should watch it.
Okay, so Slushie, do you want to do your second? If we do your second screen now, then everything else will be horror to some extent. Do you want to do that?
Okay. Yeah, I can do that now.
So here's a new segment.
Slushie's second screen. Welcome. It's a podcast within a podcast. I recently, over the past few weeks, have been playing various Elder Scrolls games.
I'm just sorry. I'm just laughing at this picture.
Yeah, the picture is okay. We'll get into it.
I like the dog.
I have spent probably close to 300 hours over the past however many weeks playing Elder Scrolls games and like watching multiple hour long documentary type shit and like multiple hour long like large Germa. I've been watching like Germa VODs, shit like that. Things that are like, just to have on the second screen to have noise. And I decided that maybe I should actually watch something that I can talk about on the podcast. So I pulled up Tubi, looked through the TV shows, and this one caught my eye. You can see it on the video, but if you can't see it on the video or if you're blind, it is Sue Thomas, F.B.Eye. Now the I in F.B.Eye is crossed out, and the word I, like EYE, like what's in your head, is there instead. She has a dog. You might think she's blind, but she's deaf. This is a show based on a real life person named Sue Thomas, who's a deaf person who learned how to read lips at a very early age and decided to join the FBI and worked in like the surveillance department reading lips. The show came out in 2002, so it's like many of the A plots in the episodes are very clear responses to 9/11. A lot of Muslim terrorists trying to suicide bomb and do like ricin attacks
Jeez.
and shit. It's wild. And then the B plots are things like one character got ripped off and bought an art forgery on accident, and he's investigating it because he's an FBI agent and he can do that. And the old mechanic friend of Sue they're worried he has Alzheimer's. It turns out he's just losing his hearing. Sorry for spoilers. Things like that.
Is it good?
Yeah, do you recommend this?
No.
Is that good?
If you are like me and are fascinated by like television and television and culture in general in the early 2000s post 9/11, definitely watch it. It's crazy how weird it is, how tonally dissonant it is. It's like Seventh Heaven, but the FBI.
Did you say what channel this was on?
I didn't. Let me look it up, actually. I think it was like it was something you like nobody watched channel wise. original network PAX TV, which is now Ion Television.
What the fuck? What do you PAX TV? What even is that?
I had PAX TV. That was a channel I could get on my antenna, and it was like all Christian type content.
Yeah, so that's another thing about this show. The pilot is like a 2-part. It's all like 1 hour long episodes, 40 whatever minutes. After or before commercials. The pilot is a 2-parter, similar to Airwolf, where they just set up the whole thing and do a whole bunch of shit that never gets mentioned again. For example, two of the main characters used to be dating, and Sue Thomas accidentally eavesdropped on one of them with her eyes because she lip reads, and saw that he was cheating. So she told the other character, and it caused a huge dramatic falling out that you would think would be near unrecoverable, especially if they're in the same workplace together. And this is also why you don't date your coworkers. But that's just never mentioned again as the show continues and things get way more lighthearted in the office. It becomes a weird sitcom where there's also suicide bombers and CSI style 24 style huge stakes, but then also everybody's just palling around in the office kind of shit and making jokes and all that.
Somebody's dating, somebody's pregnant.
Right. It's so fucking weird.
The dog is sick.
Yeah, which Elder Scrolls game did you enjoy the most while watching this?
I was watching this while playing Skyrim. I did it primarily during my second playthrough where I disabled all the mods and wanted to get the achievements. So yeah, I don't know. It's such a fucking weird show. Definitely watch it though if you're really into post 9/11 American culture.
She learned to read lips and she decided to become a fucking narc.
Yeah, pretty much.
What is wrong with her?
Oh yeah, you mentioned that there was a lot of Christian stuff. The first 2 episodes are very heavy on the religion aspect of Sue as a character. She's constantly talking about how God put her through all these trials to build her up as a person so that she could finally do some good in the world. And then they don't mention God again for 10 episodes, I want to say. And then it's just a one-off, just quick mention of God because she's a Christian. It's really strange. It's really strange.
She has to pause for station identification.
It's got 56 episodes. It got 3 seasons. I don't know how.
How far did you get? Did you finish it?
I watched the whole first season and the first 2 episodes of the second season.
You know what show I recommend to you is Ed, but I don't know if you can even watch it anywhere anymore. But it's peak that era, and it's about a guy who's a lawyer and works out of a bowling alley.
What if this is one of those shows where one of the later seasons goes off the rails in a weird way?
It certainly could be.
Millennium season 3, Frank Black gets the girl sidekick and it gets really weird. TNT season 2, Mr. T stops doing the transformation sequence and the show gets worse. I don't know. That's always interesting on shows.
Yeah. They change it up.
I started watching Highlander, which I'll probably continue.
Yeah.
But for the next segment, I told Cyraptor I would at least try to watch the OA, which I looked into it a little bit. Sounds insane.
Oh yeah, the original Angel.
Very excited. Yeah, very excited. I will say there is one really good scene in this show in the first season. It's like not in the finale, but it's like one of the last episodes of the season where the real Sue Thomas shows up.
What?
And she introduces herself by the name of the actress who is playing Sue Thomas and says that she's an actress.
Okay.
It's kind of cute.
All right.
She's just like, Sue Thomas's love interest like has a heart attack even though he's like 31 or something.
Yeah, he must have been doing some drugs or something.
Maybe. I mean, he's in the FBI, who knows. But he's in the hospital and she's just like wandering around the hospital, and like the real life Sue Thomas is just sitting there with her dog, who is the real life dog that the TV dog is based off of.
Well, how did you know it was her?
I had looked up what Sue Thomas looks like because I was just curious.
Okay. So you were like covering your hand, your mouth with your hand and like pointing, like that's her. There she is.
Was that dog still alive?
It's been 20 years, probably not.
Looking forward to hearing about the I don't know. Hopefully you have time for second screen content.
Well, I've got 2 weeks until I leave, so I can start watching tonight. I just started playing Oblivion again last night, so
plenty of opportunity to crane your head 45 degrees. All right. Getting into the horror. The people painting my apartment building are starting to clang. We'll see if that advances anymore. Last Friday?
Yeah,
right?
last Friday.
We watched Hobgoblins, screened by a friend of the show, MDB 100. Count, you said this is on worst movie ever lists.
Yeah, people say this is one of the worst movies of all time. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't either. This is like, it wasn't fantastic, but it was fun. It was like weird. It was interesting.
It's better than Road to Hell.
Way better than Road to Hell.
Better than
this
Quicksand. It's better than
this movie. Felt like a bunch of people just having fun making a movie.
It's because when this came out, all movies were fairly okay, so maybe it was bad for the time, but little did they know what the future held.
Digital. It's huge. Huge opportunity for horrible movies. But yeah, this is just another like Critters, like Ghoulies, like Munchies, like Munchie, like Feeding Frenzy. Post Gremlins Little Guys movie.
It's cute and it's funny, and there's some weird things that happen.
Two hobgoblins. I think there's two hobgoblins because they had two different models, two different puppets, I guess. But like, two hobgoblins arrive from space while an old man is guarding a movie studio, and the hobgoblins multiply and live in the movie studio, and like this is all off camera. Like for decades they like fulfill people's wishes but also kill them, I guess. So
yeah, that was it.
They seemed like they have a brief fantasy and then die.
They introduced this concept with like the security guard's apprentice or whatever is like told not to go into the vault area, and he does anyway, and then suddenly he's on a stage pantomiming, playing a rock concert to nobody, and then he dies.
Yeah. So there's like some good jokes in this movie, but by and large I think it's pretty bad. I don't know.
It's not great. It's not a good movie.
I think
it's a fun movie though.
Yeah.
So we're introduced to a new security guard who is the hero of the film, and he has some friends. He has a girlfriend who he's trying to impress, who he can't. He has a slutty friend whose boyfriend is in the National Guard or something, and he comes home and they just have sex rampantly, and like
the van squeaks.
That's one of the better jokes in the film, is she's like, where's my boyfriend? I wish we were having sex. Oh, there he is. And then they just have sex, like the van just bounces in the background while like a conversation is happening.
Well, you got to remember that the sound that's like boink boink boink,
right,
is constantly going while they're having sex in the van.
And then there's like a nerdy friend who's always like, I gotta use your telephone, and he calls a sex line. Just like a lady just like tells him a slightly erotic story, and he's like, yeah, I love it. They're always like, when are we gonna meet this girlfriend of yours? Oh, you can't meet her. It's just, a couple decent ongoing jokes, and then like just sort of a bad plot about every 20 to 40 minutes a hobgoblin puppet will be on somebody and they will have to like pretend to wrestle it, and then like nothing really happens.
Right.
So.
Also, the hobgoblin puppets aren't really puppets. They're just dolls that somebody shakes a little bit.
They don't really. They seem like a little less articulated than most.
The puppets in Puppet Master 9 were more animated than the hobgoblins.
Yeah. So, not the worst film ever. I guess I'm hearing it's an MST3K. I haven't seen that one.
It is.
So.
Which a lot of those, I feel like those movies got way worse of a reputation than they probably deserve in retrospect.
Yeah, Mystery Science Theater is like the AVGN of movies.
I was about to say that.
A lot of those movies are fine.
Yeah.
Not the worst movie ever. They did Diabolic. Actually, just a really good movie.
Great movie.
Just weird.
Have I seen that?
No.
Okay.
We'll watch it sometime.
Yeah. In November, maybe, because it's not.
Hobgoblins, though, I don't even know if I can recommend it, but it's not the worst. And, watch the other Gremlins ripoffs, maybe, and then save this one for last if you really need more.
It's got some jokes. Maybe watch the MST3K. I don't know. Is it a good episode? There's good and bad
I remember
ones.
It being good.
Okay, up next. We watched The Abominable Dr. Phibes, which we've talked about before in my top 10. And had to show it to Slushie. What'd you think, Slushie?
I thought that these two movies that they put together into one movie was really weird and interesting. I liked one of the movies more than the other movie.
Did you like the British movie?
No.
Okay.
Well, I didn't dislike it. It's just I liked the weird psychedelic bullshit more than the British comedy.
Right. So this is a film about a villain, Dr. Phibes, killing 9 doctors, 8 doctors and 1 nurse, for vengeance. And what Slushie is saying here, the movie sort of flips back between Dr. Phibes' story and the police investigating him. The police investigation is humorous. It follows Inspector Trout. There's constantly jokes, like people are calling him like Inspector Pike or Inspector Haddock or just like whatever fish. So you're going between like a humorous a darkly humorous but like largely dialogueless, like weird series of weird murders, and then like a very snappy sort of almost like Pink Panther type movie, So
yeah. I always remember the one scene where a unicorn statue was like launched with a catapult through a window and through a guy's chest, and it hit like embedded into the wall. And the two inspectors were like right there when it happened, and they were trying to get the statue out of him. And like it's a unicorn, so the horn is like a spiral kind of, so they had to rotate his entire body to get it out of the wall. And like you just see the shot from someone in the next room over, and like through the door you watch the dead guy's feet like rotate up from the bottom in a semicircle to the top because they're unscrewing him from the wall.
Like the first time I saw this in a hotel after it came on after Puppet Master 3. I was flipping channels and I was like, oh, I think this is a Vincent Price movie. I should watch this. And that's like quite a ways into the movie, but that was the first scene that I saw. I was like, oh, this is this seems cool.
I feel like that would be a great way to watch that film. Right after Puppet Master 3 in somebody else's bed.
This is so much better than I ever remember it being.
Yeah?
Yeah, like it's so much funnier and more interesting. I remember it being kind of boring when I first saw it. But maybe I was too young to really appreciate it. Like I always just remember the weird clockwork men the most.
Yeah,
in the movie.
We're hanging out with them here on
the Puppet Master Toulon. The Puppet Master 2 Toulon.
Yeah, the Toulons. But watching it as an adult, it's fucking funny. It's like nonstop.
Yeah. I think
it's very good.
I think that like this is like one of it feels, again, pretentious, I guess maybe to say this, but I think this is like one of the best films I've ever seen. Like it uses the visual, and the visuals are really good. There's a lot of really great sets. I guess you would call them Art Deco. I don't really know. Just like really attractive, weird 60s. It takes place in the 30s or
30s
late
or
20s,
like
but it's just like a lot of 60s sort of weird, wealthy rooms. Like the shot composition is great. There will be like good use of mirrors and stuff in shots, and like just interesting compositions. There's great colors. The editing is brilliant. Like it will cut from one thing to another thing in just a really smart, interesting way all the time. The dialogue is hilarious. It's just acting it's just great. It's a great film. Like all of the things that film can do good.
Right, the medium itself.
Yeah. This movie does.
Speaking of acting.
Yeah.
Price as Phibes.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
He has like one of those old audio suction cups, and he sticks to his neck and he speaks that way.
We think of now like a somebody who's had like a cigarette operation, and they talk through a little box, but
yeah, I had an uncle who had one of those and scared the shit out of me for the longest time. Yeah, he talks through that and he's like, it's obviously just, he's dubbing the scene or it's pre-recorded, whatever, but he's like moving his mouth and not moving his lips in a way that like really makes it work.
Yeah. Like he can't really move his face for a reason that you'd find out if you see the film. And I'm using a weird poster because like every cover and poster of this movie like sort of spoils something that happens in the last 20 minutes. But
don't look up any images, just watch it.
I mean, good luck. You're gonna see it, but
Google Doctor. Is it on Tubi?
I don't think it is.
Close your eyes and
has
Google
been
Dr.
at some
Phibes and
point.
click until it's playing.
But yeah, like the DVD cover, you know, the trailer, the original trailer, like it. I guess, you know, I saw it on TV, so for me it was like sight unseen and kind of a reveal. But anyway, he can't really like do anything with his face, really. But like as he's speaking, he like his neck is moving, like he's speaking internally, you can see clearly, and like he's doing all his acting with his eyes, and it's just good. He's my favorite actor. It's my favorite role of his. It's a great character. Just like it,
yeah, for sure.
It's demented. I don't know, like Fu Manchu style serial villain. You know, is what they wanted him to be, and he's sort of that didn't really take off, but yeah, I love it.
I'm glad we watched it. I gave it another chance. Not that I ever hated it, but to realize how amazing it is nice.
The there's a sequel. I don't think it's as good. I think it has a very good ending. Like the ending like the last 20 seconds of the movie is really good, but it's really just like 10 more wacky murders, you know. They're
all biblical murders too. I don't know if we said that.
Right,
That's too much of a spoiler.
They're biblically
that's the
themed.
theme.
Yeah.
News from Raz in the chat. Dr. Phones is on YouTube.
So
give it a watch, Cat.
What is the author of this? What is his name? William, the creator of Dr. Phibes, William Goldstein. Last time I watched this, I looked up like what's up with Dr. Phibes. I think at that time there was like a comic sequel available. I'm not sure, but now this time that I watched Dr. Phibes, William Goldstein is still alive and he's writing books about Dr. Phibes, and there's like several of them, and I think they're print on demand, and like the last one came out in 2019. So like this is still ongoing. Which
interesting.
He's still trying.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Just still he loves this character, I guess. And
I do too.
Yeah. I like him too. I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm not going to say anything. It's good. Watch it.
Yeah. And then the sequel, you know, it is what it is. Temper expectations. Like it's the same director, I think, which is weird. It's just across the board, it's just kind of lacking in the oomph. It has Peter Cushing in it.
That's a high point for me.
Yeah, but
the sequel.
Yeah, he's like the captain of a boat. He really has barely anything at all to do in the movie. He's just kind of there, but he is there. Highly recommended, Dr. Phibes. Then we watched Monster Squad. Sort of out of nowhere. We didn't really plan on it, but Slushie was being a little turd. So we had to watch something kind of fun, I guess. Count, you were the curator of this one, I guess.
I was, yeah. Had you seen it, Mortis?
I saw this when it was new, and I probably watched it like 10 years ago now.
Yeah, that's probably the last time I've seen it. And I remember watching it 10 years ago during college, probably like 3 times, maybe like every Halloween. I really enjoyed it in my college years, which was like the first time I'd seen it. And I really enjoyed it now. I think it's very cute. It has like my favorite version of Dracula, even though he's completely inaccurate to the book. It's kind of like what's the word? Is pastiche the right word? Where it's like this idolized sort of popular culture version of Dracula that when people think of Dracula, they think of this, even though that's not how Dracula is.
Right.
But I really like this movie. I believe you Mortis were saying it could have used a little bit more of a runtime because it goes really fucking fast and there's not a lot of downtime. And I mostly agree. It would especially be nice to see more of the monsters interacting, all 5 of them together. But it's a cute movie. I think James Gunn wrote it, who has a mixed track record. But the kids in this, I feel, are portrayed how I was as a kid. Just like we would say whatever we wanted and we were mean to each other.
Right. There's a character in the film who is just Fat Kid. That's what everyone calls him. And there's, these kids are dropping slurs, which did they do that in Stranger Things? I feel like when Stranger Things came out, people were like, "Oh yeah, these are realistic kids." I kind of remember.
I think only the bullies may have dropped a slur in Stranger, like the clearly bad children, like who you're not supposed to root for, maybe in Stranger Things, while in like Monster Squad, like they're all doing it.
Yeah,
everybody's. I don't know.
Everybody's cussing. Everybody's mean to each other. But yeah, like, I think this is something like, I don't know, it's 30 to 40 minutes. So this is like a post-Goonies movie, I think.
Yeah.
Group of kids on adventure. It's 30 to 40 minutes shorter than Goonies, and it has to establish this entire, like, monster fantasy thing. So, like, I feel like the characters suffer and just, like, the world kind of suffers for the short runtime, but I don't know. It's fun.
It's fun. It's cute.
It's got pretty good special effects. I don't think the Wolfman looks great, but...
Wolfman's the weakest monster look-wise.
He has a very flat face.
They don't do a whole lot, the monsters. They're just kind of there.
Yeah, Frankenstein is sort of like Frankenstein and Dracula are like the big ones.
Yeah, like Creature does nothing. Like nothing. The Mummy really does nothing.
The Creature pops out of the water, scares the kids.
Yeah. And that's pretty much it.
That's it.
What did you think, Slushie?
It was like pretty fun.
Kind of boring.
I had heard about this movie before. I feel like everybody has. But...
this is the film, the famous Wolfman has nards. Wolfman's got nards. Line is from which that meeting. What was that movie? Meeting what's her face that we watched 10 episodes ago. A character from a movie we watched a while ago has an ironic Etsy t-shirt of a line from this film. So
I gotta make a quick correction. I said James Gunn. I meant Shane Black, by the way, folks. Sorry.
Okay.
Shane Black wrote this, who wrote like Predator and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Okay.
And Lethal Weapon, things like that. Not James Gunn.
Sorry, that was Slushie. Go on.
That's all right. I don't know, man. Like it was fine. I think. I feel like had I watched this younger, I would have enjoyed it more. But I don't know. It was just like, and it just felt like another 80s movie where kids do things movie. There were parts in it that I did like a lot, like they like find this journal or diary or whatever from Van Helsing, the real one.
Yeah.
And there's like this scary German dude, and I totally assumed that he was going to be Van Helsing, but it turns out he was just like at Auschwitz, like a prisoner at Auschwitz.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's subtle.
Yeah,
the way they do that.
It didn't really have anything to do with anything. How he was, he just is.
He was just a good character.
Yeah, he was able to help translate the journal and help the girl do the incantation to banish the monsters. I did really like the whole virgin situation.
Yeah.
With like the teenage girl where she's like, "No, I'm a virgin." And then they like recruit her to say the incantation because it needs to be a virgin, and then they're like, "It's not working. Are you sure you're a virgin?" She's like, "Well, I did with Tommy, but he doesn't count."
Yeah.
And then Dracula calls the little girl a bitch.
Yeah, which is probably one of my favorite cinematic moments. Like, this isn't a favorite movie by far, it's not, but like that moment is in movies.
It's like a maybe 5-year-old girl tops. Dracula just has her picked up by her throat in the middle of the street and goes, "You bitch!"
He like slowly lifts her up by her throat and calls her a little bitch.
It's
great.
Wild. There's some good stuff in it. There's some funny stuff.
He kills a bunch of cops.
Yeah, like 30 cops just get murdered in this movie. It's really
very cool.
Just there's a body count in this kids
We
movie.
started watching, I said this is like Castlevania's Dracula. So you gotta like keep that in mind in a way.
Yeah, he's the leader, just like in Castlevania. He's the leader of the Universal monsters. It is missing the Invisible Man, sadly. Maybe he was there. We just didn't know. That'd be a good setup for the sequel. As the Invisible Man was there, and he did something that made Dracula able to come back. I don't know.
There we go. We got our sequel hook.
One thing about this: the last time I watched this movie, we discovered something. I was really disturbed. There's one shot in the movie where there's a poster that has a bunch of anime shit in it, but it's all different anime shit, and I couldn't figure out what this poster was. And like 10 years ago, I tweeted it. I think Dinosaur Dracula had like done a tweet about like kids' bedrooms in movies, and I was like, "What is that poster? What could that poster be?" And I couldn't figure it out at the time. But Count quite simply figured it out this time. I think Branded with the 80s blog or something had posted about it. It was
something like that.
It's a Comico poster, which is a shitty comic imprint from the 80s that had a lot of anime licenses, but then like also published a lot of other bullshit. So I finally figured that out.
That's why it's got like Johnny Quest and Firestar. Who's that?
Just like weird Comico superheroes, nobody you've ever heard of. Grendel is on there, famous indie creator-owned character. But then just Robotech and Star Blazers.
Glad the mystery was solved.
Yeah, finally solved. Let's see. So, we also watched The Thing, probably the scariest movie we did here, but still, I think, was it too scary, Slushie?
No, this was fine.
I think this is Count. You said this is a perfect movie.
Yes, it is a perfect movie to me. It is flawless. I wouldn't change a thing about this movie.
I think it's a great movie. What did you think, Slushie? I think you said pretty good.
Yeah, so like, I'm on record as saying that I don't like Jaws that much. I find it kind of boring. I feel like the first half of this movie, I was feeling the same way I do about Jaws. Just like very slow, but also like it didn't feel at the time I was watching it like there were things to notice that made the tension increase or whatever. It just felt like the movie was waiting until later to have anything happen.
Did we say the name of the movie? It's The Thing, John Carpenter. I don't remember.
Yeah, we said that.
Okay.
Like it starts out immediately like something is up. And they go to, explore the area where the something is up happened from. I mean, I feel like everybody in the world has seen The Thing, but I'm trying not to.
Right, you have these crazy Swedes, and they're shooting at a dog.
They're Norwegian, Count.
All right. You have these Norwegians. They're shooting at a dog at a camp, and then they go and check out the Norwegian camp.
Which, if you want to see what happened in the Norwegian camp, you can watch The Thing from 2011.
But don't.
Have you seen that, Count?
Yeah,
and it has a woman in it.
Oh, well.
Don't even watch it.
It's already fucked up on that level. We forgot to
watch it.
Speaking of a woman, let's jump back to Phibes for a second. Slushie, what do you think the deal with Volnavia is?
I don't know.
Do you think she's a human? Do you think she's a homunculus?
No. I feel like she was like a Frankenstein's monster kind of situation. A dead lady that Phibes brought back to life to do his dirty work.
Some sort of
where
golem.
He couldn't.
Golem.
Yeah. That's kind of what it felt like, because she doesn't speak at all. She's just young and hot, and she does what Phibes says.
She's very fashionable.
She's always wearing like huge fur coats and huge fur hats, and they're either black or white. And I'm sure there's some symbolism there, but I'm too stupid to figure it out.
I think she had an orange thing and a gold thing at one point. Well, anyway, she does come back in the sequel. So there is one of Goldstein's books is like Volnavia's story or something. So I don't know. I realized I wanted to ask about that. What you thought about that? I think she's she's a homunculus or something.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Magically created, or like even like a summoned demon or something.
Right.
That'd be cool.
But anyway,
especially with a name like Volvania or whatever.
Volnavia. Mulva? You didn't get that far in Seinfeld. Anyway, back to The Thing. It's a slow burn, for sure.
It is. Once shit starts happening, it's really cool. It's really interesting. It made me really want to play the game, which is like apparently not great, but I'll still play it. At least a little bit. I'm sure it's fun.
I think it's one of those games that's like sort of bad to actually play,
Yeah.
Whether it's like frustrating or...
I've watched a little bit of a playthrough of it, and like, especially towards the end, there's a part where there's just like swarms of
things,
like the little spider creature version of the thing, and it's hard to hit them, and they take you out pretty much instantly. But the game also has this neat thing where like there's people around the base, and you can get them to work with you, and you don't always know if they have a thing in them, or if they are the thing. So like you have to keep an eye on them. There are like ways you can test them, but they're incredibly limited. And like sometimes you'll be like in the middle of a combat with an obvious monster, and then your companion turns on you.
Yeah.
It just seems it's a very interesting premise that I've heard maybe wasn't executed incredibly well, but also I care most about games that try to do something interesting, even if they're not great.
Well, this isn't about games. This is about The Thing, the movie by John Carpenter. Do you think the movie did anything interesting, Slushie?
It had very interesting special effects that were horribly grotesque. Just absolutely disgusting. And very good looking and very convincing.
Yeah.
I've seen this so many times, it's hard to remember my first experience, because like now I pick up on every little seed of paranoia that is like getting planted, and I really love it on that level.
What did you think about the dog? Did you think the dog was sinister, Slushie?
No.
As it was like looking out the window and shit, and I think that dog's acting was incredible.
Yes,
the Thing dog. It just like stands like stock still and just like stares.
That is interesting. I guess I wasn't really paying attention to that much. I guess also partially because I knew already that the dog was a thing.
Because you knew about the game?
Going into it. Well, no, just because like cultural osmosis, I've heard people talk about it. It starts off with the dog getting into the thing, getting into the base. I don't know. I wish I had noticed that, I guess, because now that I'm thinking back, you're right. It is totally weird how that dog is.
Yeah.
My buddies and I used to joke, like, the dog is such a good actor, he did it all in one take.
Maybe.
I do think it was interesting how it felt like the movie was constantly trying to... It was like constantly showing Windows, and I think it was trying to make you think that Windows was a thing, but he wasn't.
The character Windows. Yeah. There's a character in the film named Windows.
Right.
There's misdirection.
Yeah. Yeah, there is, yeah.
Part of the paranoia.
I think that, like, personally, I think that the movie doesn't, like, it tries to set up theories, you know, like it gives you room for like ideas, but it like, I don't think the movie has like a strict, at this point XYZ was infected, at this point XYZ, like, I don't think John Carpenter really like cared about that. You know, I don't get the impression that it's like, well, at this time the canon thing was Palmer and Windows. You know, like,
I agree with you.
I don't think it really cares, but like it gives you like ammo to really suspect anybody at any point. You know,
I mean, people online are still arguing about the ending.
Right. There's like a Dark Horse comic I have one issue of that's like an immediate sequel to it. Like, it just picks up right where the movie ends.
I read one of them. They're in like the jungle and the Thing is there. It's terrible.
What the fuck?
Don't read it, folks. Weird. It sucks.
Weird. Yeah, like the comic I am talking about is not like, I don't think it's particularly good. It has really good art. It's all like painted, but yeah, the movie, great atmosphere.
It's perfect to me. It's just a fucking flawless movie to me. There's nothing. I said it. There's nothing I would change. Just sometimes when I watch a movie, even though I really love it, I'll just be like, I wish this line was different. I wish they did this, or this shot should be that. But the entire time, it's one nice long ride for me.
Did this bomb at the time?
I believe it did.
That's weird.
That's too bad.
I want to say because E.T. came out at the same time.
And people just didn't want an alien that was a monster?
Yeah, I think that's how the story goes.
That's really weird. I don't know.
I'm actually going to look up because I want to make sure that's true.
What do you think about like the UFOs in this movie? You wouldn't change the UFOs? You don't think they're too...
I like them.
You don't think they're too generic UFO?
I think it's like a tribute to it being a 50s remake.
Right.
So E.T. came out on June 11th, and then this came out on June 25th of 1982. So they say it was a box office failure because of E.T.
That's
No, that's too bad.
I don't really understand the
I don't know.
reasoning there, but I mean, I don't know.
I've always heard that it's the whole friendly alien versus evil alien type of thing. I don't really like E.T. I was about to say like I hate it, but I don't want to say I hate it. But I don't care about it.
Yeah.
You think Michael Jackson liked the thing? You think if E.T. didn't exist, Michael Jackson would have recorded a weird vinyl about the thing?
I don't think you would have recorded a vinyl about it, but we have on record that Michael Jackson took his Beastbusters cabinet to concerts and would play it backstage. He loved Beastbusters, a violent zombie shooting arcade game. So I don't think he would.
Might have liked the thing, yeah.
I don't think he would be precluded from.
We got Ennio Morricone instead.
Yeah. Count, you said that people shit on the score.
They do, for it being too simple, and I love it.
So, I think the really strong part of the score is just this bum, 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 kind of like one repeating bass note.
It's really good.
And it's weird that it's Ennio Morricone because that's the most John Carpenter score imaginable. Like, why didn't he just do it? Maybe he did. I don't know. But like there are sort of parts of the score that are like more orchestral and are not that impressive, I think. But the synth part is very, very good.
That take
Ennio
might also be
Morricone-
like the old take, by the way.
Sorry, what did you say, Count?
So that take on like the soundtrack and score being bad might be the old take of like how it came out and bombed, and people are like, "Oh, and the music sucks too."
Oh yeah. Well, this
People are idiots.
This movie got a Razzie, so it's bad.
Right.
What were you saying, Slushie?
Ennio Morricone did that one Western song, right?
Yeah. Doo.
He did like all the Western
Yeah,
songs.
he is like
Right, but,
very
like,
famous
that one.
Western composer. Yeah, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Yeah, that one. Okay.
Great composer. Kind of. This is not exactly his traditional wheelhouse. The score. So,
No, it doesn't seem to be.
but yeah, it's. I don't know. Great movie. Scary.
I kind of made a joke about a future set of movies for an episode,
Mhm.
but it wasn't really a joke. I do really want to do it. I want to watch Ghosts of Mars and Final Fantasy Spirits Within.
Because they're movies about a space planet that has ghosts on it.
Yeah.
And it's relevant because Ghosts of Mars is John Carpenter.
Right.
Okay.
They're kind of scary.
Yeah.
What, Ghosts of Mars or Final Fantasy Spirits Within?
Yeah.
You're trying to dissuade
Both?
Slushie here.
I've seen Final Fantasy Spirits Within.
I saw Final Fantasy Spirits Within in theaters.
I would have loved to see it in theaters. I do truly love that movie.
I thought it's
I know
fine. That also gets
people
shit on
hate
too
it.
much, and it doesn't deserve
Yeah.
hate.
People hate it because it's like, oh, this isn't Final Fantasy, but it's like Final Fantasy is a different fucking thing every time. Shut up.
right, which they're idiots for thinking.
I'm sorry Ifrit wasn't in it.
That's why people hate the Double Dragon movie.
The Double Dragon movie's so good, though. It's got a Bobo.
Yeah. Anyway,
Abo.
John Carpenter, one of the best 80s directors, I think.
John Carpenter,
else
big
has he
gamer.
Big Trouble.
I've seen that. I like that.
Halloween.
I guess he's made every
one.
Kurt Russell movie, right?
Pretty much.
Right. Escape from New York.
I haven't seen that.
So the
Need to see
thing
that.
is, people say it's part of the Apocalypse trilogy, which is this and Prince of Darkness, and is the other one Mouth of Madness? Count? You know?
Sounds right.
Okay.
Which I've seen all of them, and they're all pretty good.
Yeah, I really like Prince of Darkness. More,
I like Prince of
it's
Darkness.
more of a horror movie, I guess. Traditional.
Carpenter, Did They Live?
Right, yeah, They Live.
Of course.
The Fog, which adds Adrian Barbeau, right?
Yeah, it does. Adrian Boobbo.
But yeah, the Apocalypse trilogy, like, just sort of horror movies which you can assume at the end of the movie that humanity will be dead pretty soon. So I like all those movies.
I like them all too. I would like to revisit them with Slushie.
I like John Carpenter's Vampires. I haven't seen it since it came out. I've been wanting to watch it again for like years.
I remember liking it. I liked it.
It's goofy. It's kind of like just okay. Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like I don't think I've ever seen Ghost of Mars, and I've heard bad things about it. But
yeah, like he fell off in the 90s
right.
is like the common thing to think about John Carpenter.
Escape from LA is kind of but Vampires isn't that bad from what I remember. I feel like having two bad movies in the 90s shouldn't have killed his career completely. I think that's kind of unfair.
Especially
also was like, I have enough money, I can just get high and play games.
Yeah.
How many bad movies came out in the 90s? Like,
he loves video games.
What video games does he play?
Plays like everything.
Do you think he's played Oblivion?
Probably.
You think we can get him on the podcast and I can talk to him about Elder Scrolls?
Maybe.
If we got John Carpenter on the podcast, you want to talk about Elder Scrolls?
Yes.
All right.
You can talk to him about other things, but I want to talk to him about Elder Scrolls.
You don't want to talk to him about Sonic?
I think when he was on Charles Band's podcast, he talked about video games. He just like he brought it up. I don't know.
That's cool. I mean, I'll talk to him about Sonic if he wants to talk about Sonic, but I feel like there's.
You want to talk to him about Metal Gear? Like, hey man, you made a movie about this game?
I don't care how people think about or what people think about Metal Gear.
Yeah.
But well, all right.
We gotta watch Escape from New York. Slushie, how have you not seen it?
I don't know. I just didn't watch movies.
It's got fucking Kurt Russell, Lee Van Cleef, Ernest Borgnine, Donald Pleasance, Isaac Hayes, Adrian Barbeau, and Harry Dean Stanton. It's like for us. You understand?
Yeah.
It's got like all our favorites.
I just haven't seen it. Like I started.
Who's Harry Dean Stanton in it? I don't really remember him being
he's like he's one of the old like dudes in New York.
Right. I figured. Most people are in New York.
Right. I'm trying to remember his name. Brain. He's Brain.
Is Lee Van Cleef the president?
No.
Lee Van Cleef is like the dude that sends them in.
Right.
The president is Donald Pleasance.
Oh, right. He's sending him in to get the president.
Yeah.
Right.
I started watching that film
while you were
in
playing
a time of my life where I didn't like movies that did a lot of establishing shots and like mood setting. And the first like 10 minutes of that movie is him walking around the destroyed city, and it's a lot of establishing shots and mood setting, so I didn't like it at the time and I stopped watching.
We'll watch it.
I'm a different person than I was back then. I would probably like it now.
Yeah, we'll give it a shot.
So, speaking of Adrian Barbeau, and on a title-based continuity level, the final movie we watched this week is Swamp Thing from 1982. Nobody's going to.
This movie was kind of bad.
Yeah.
It's not great.
I had never seen this before.
I'd seen it like a few times.
I didn't. Oof, I don't know. I didn't think this was that good.
I think the costume was really funny.
Do you want
And
to get into that
now? We don't have to. I'm just like my quick thoughts on it are the costume is really funny. Jude is the best character in the entire movie.
Yeah.
And not necessarily for reasons that make him a good character. Yeah, I don't know. Where do you want to start?
So Swamp Thing, of course, DC Comics character, introduced in, I don't know, I assume early 70s or late 60s. He came out of one of the horror anthologies, I think House of Mystery or something. Just kind of he's just a big beast who is a Swamp Thing. And
he's like Plant Bigfoot.
Plant Bigfoot, Plant Frankenstein, Plant the Incredible Hulk. Basically. Just, he would come out of the swamp, grab a screaming woman in a nightgown, and then leave. That was kind of Swamp Thing's thing, and that's what you see here on the cover. This movie is written and directed by Wes Craven.
I know it's directed by.
I think it was written too, but like this is prior to Elm Street and like prior to really anything, right?
Before he blew up.
Yeah.
Like, huge.
I think this movie had a really bad script.
Yes.
And then they shot with it. So my cat was screaming at me, full disclosure, but I did ask my friends, like, am I missing something, or like, am I supposed to know what's happening? But like, no. It seems like the movie opens like a helicopter comes into the swamp. There's some science. It's not really clear if they're like scientists or journalists. They all have little like name tags. Adrienne Barbeau is coming in to do something, and then there's also like swamp mercenaries who are they all just look like a bunch of white guys from like a bar. Like they don't look like hardened mercenaries. They just look like schlubby dudes from a bar, like wearing camo, like fucking around in the swamp. And like for like 20 to 30 minutes, you don't know what is happening because they don't tell you. It's just like science is happening in the swamp, funded by blank, trying to discover blank. And like mercenaries are in the swamp trying to do blank, and it's really hard to like get with the movie on that level. Yeah. Like you're like, what the fuck is going on? Like finally you meet the main character like 20 minutes into the movie, who is Ray Wise. Is that his name?
That's right.
Yeah, from Twin Peaks, Leland Palmer. He is Dr. Alec Holland, who has a wife. Was that his wife?
I think it was his sister.
It's his sister.
Oh, that makes so much more sense.
He was just fucking with her by like going along with like pretending that they were married to mess with Adrienne Barbeau.
Oh, okay.
Like his old joke.
Okay, God.
It's his sister.
Okay, so Adrienne Barbeau shows up, and like Alec Holland is like immediately on her. But like I thought this character was his wife, and I thought he was just like kissing her in front of his wife. I was so confused. Like, I guess they just have an open relationship. 82 is pretty early for that. All right. And then like he was so mad when she got killed. Like I just assumed wife. All right. Well. Just another problem with the movie.
Yeah. I know a lot of these things because I've seen it like 3 times.
Right. So Alec Holland is doing a formula to make plants better, and it also explodes, but after it explodes, it will make, like, if you throw the formula, it's a glowing green goo, and if you throw it at some wooden boards, the boards will like come back alive and sprout plants. It's like a super grow formula, and some guy, Dr. Anton Arcane, who is some guy who we don't know who he is or what he wants, really. Like, people are like, oh, Arcane, they say Arcane is coming. Arcane wants this formula, and then he's just there, and he's the leader of the mercenaries. And I don't know what his motivation is not really clear ever. He's just an evil guy who like quotes Nietzsche and like Machiavelli all the time. Like,
he's very generic.
He seems to he's all tied up with the government. Like, it's not clear, like, is he actually with the government? Because like Adrienne Barbeau, her name is Cable. So Cable like phones back to the government, and they just put her through to Arcane in his limo. Like, so like what? It's never clear. Like what is his connection?
He's in control,
right? I don't know, but
I think he just managed to infiltrate. Because like when he reveals himself finally, he like takes off the silicone mask of the guy who was like leading the operation in the swamp for the scientists.
Yeah.
And
angry
like,
Australian man or whatever.
Yeah, and like he and Cable seem to be working for the US military of some branch of it. Maybe one of the maybe the CIA. It's unclear. And like he rips off the mask and he's like, "Oh, he's been dead for a long time. It's been me the whole time."
Yeah. I like the mask ripping. I feel like the mask, like, there's stuff in this movie that's good.
Yeah.
And like when he takes off the mask and it's just a different actor, like, that's, I don't know, that was like a really campy, like, good thing to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which maybe it was a reference to, because I'm looking at kind of like what the character Anton Arcane is in the comics.
Yeah, I'm not really familiar with Arcane.
He is he's like exclusive to Swamp Thing. He's his archenemy. And under powers and abilities, Anton Arcane possesses the knowledge of creating synthetic organs and skin. So it's possible that the movie was kind of nodding at that and being like, yeah, that was fake skin that he made to look different. Maybe. Who knows? The first 20 minutes of this film is like a James Bond style spy movie if it was written very poorly. And then it becomes Plant Bigfoot.
Right. Like, this movie is half like 80s army movie, like half 80s low budget Reb Brown swamp army movie, and then like half 50s monster movie send up, kind of, I guess.
Kind of. Yeah.
It's a mess.
Like, I'm primarily familiar with Swamp Thing from, we talked about this while we were watching it, but like Swamp Thing was big for some reason. We don't know why.
Trying to figure it out.
Like, I know Swamp Thing from like the late 80s, early 90s Kenner toy line, which I was big into. I think it was a great toy line. Anton Arcane here is pictured. Like, the villains all had rubber, like kind of rubber finger puppety guys you could put over their top half and they would like turn into a beast. And then there were all these different Swamp Things, like glow in the dark Swamp Thing, color change Swamp Thing. So it was a great toy line, and I know I've read the Alan Moore like post crisis Swamp Thing run, which I think is one of the best comics I've ever read. So I know that Swamp Thing, and I feel like, you know, this. I assume this movie is like mostly doing what would have been happening in the like 70s Swamp Thing comic. I don't know.
Right, because this was before that great run that Alan Moore did. There's also a TV show in the 90s based off, like, it's the same suit actor as this movie.
Dick, what's his name? Like Dick
Durock.
Dick Durock.
Rest in peace, Dick.
There is a sequel to this film as well.
Yes, and that's kind of what I was made me
7 years later, by the way.
The sequel is directed by Jim Wynorski, who directed return film to Trey favorite The Lost Empire. Famous lady booby movie director.
We're gonna have to watch it and see.
And Sorority House Massacre 3: Hard to Die.
Yes.
The actor who plays Arcane comes back for it.
And Dick Durock does as well.
Well, I guess Dick Durock.
Yes, I don't know. Swamp Thing, like, never really. They kept trying over and over and over with Swamp Thing, but it never really seemed to take. Like, the cartoon went 6 episodes. The toy line did pretty well, I think. Lasted a while.
The TV show went 3 seasons.
Yeah, the USA TV show. I remember watching maybe like 1 episode of it and not.
I've never seen it.
There's like another TV show I just found out from 2019.
Yeah, only 10 episodes and it was canceled.
Yeah, there's a very, very poor NES game I'm hearing is very expensive. So, you know, Swamp Thing, he's a DC Comics man. He's just, you know, there's a lot of stuff if you like Swamp Thing. And this movie, not great. Jim Wynorski directed the sequel. Big booby guy. This movie had a lot of boobies.
It did.
Like, I feel like fully 1/3 of the movie is Adrienne Barbeau like running away from stuff, running towards the camera with her chest bouncing. There's just like uninterrupted multiple minutes of just boobs just on the camera. Like, and this is like according to Tubi, it's a PG movie, which is weird. There's a couple versions. One is a minute shorter, so I assume some of that stuff got cut out. But like, this feels like a movie you'd like trick your parents into letting you see when you were 11 or something. You know, like,
yeah.
Okay, hang on.
Yeah,
there is a film that is rated PG that is about a barbarian woman in the modern day, and she gets like completely naked to bathe in a river. Do you know what I'm talking about?
In the modern day?
It's like a barbarian woman in the modern day, but the movie was like from the 80s early. But it's rated PG, and you just see her tits for like 2 minutes.
You're not thinking of, like, this isn't Beastmaster 2, is it? I don't know.
I don't think so.
Like, I know it's kind of a trope, but like the only modern day barbarian thing I can really think of is Beastmaster 2. I don't know.
I think it's Sheena.
Well,
I feel like I've seen that, but I don't know.
So
I want to say about Adrienne Barbeau, though. I mean, clearly, great assets, but she's also was 37, which is kind of old. And I'm meaning this in a good way, in a positive way, to cast someone that at that age for this type of role is kind of interesting.
Well, she got time. She seems to have been like popular with these horror guys, you know, because she worked with Carpenter a lot. But yeah, she's good, you know.
Yeah, It's just usually you would cast like a 20-year-old to be bouncing around. So it's just interesting.
Yes.
That's all. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah. Maybe on the tail end of Hollywood letting that kind of thing happen, I guess. Because she does.
Right.
I said she does look like a mean mom. Like she looks like. She looks like someone would be at a parent-teacher conference, but she does have large breasts. I don't know.
I was right. It was Sheena.
Sheena. Okay. Well, as mentioned in the chat, PG-13 wasn't invented yet, so maybe although PG-13 is still like I don't know. I would think that would just be an R. Maybe not. Who knows?
No, well, what was it? National Lampoon's European Vacation. That was PG-13. That has nudity in it.
Yeah, I don't really remember European Vacation.
It's like Rusty and the German girl or wherever they are, while like Chevy Chase is off injuring Eric Idle some more on accident. She's like showing him her boobs.
Eric Idle's in it? I really don't remember European Vacation. Wow. I think I've probably
Eric
seen
Idle's
it
like
once.
a recurring side character where Chevy Chase is like constantly accidentally hurting him, like maiming him.
So back to Swamp Thing. I think one of the problems with the movie is the Swamp Thing suit is very bad.
Oh boy.
It is just like a green rubber suit with some shit on it, like a couple vines and some moss, and the head is horrible. The head, it's got like all the problems of like the 89 Batman suit. It's like, oh, he can't turn his neck. Like,
yeah, I was
like,
about to
can't
mention that myself.
Like, the face is in like a perpetual smirk. And the eyes, they never really quite make up
so
the eye.
small.
He just has human ears. Yeah. They never really like do the makeup on the eyes right, so there's always this like pink halo around the eyes, which looks really goofy. And he looks like he has forehead lines, like really prominent. He just looks like a proud dad or something. Like every scene he's in, even if he's like, oh, I'm so sad to be a monster. Like the expression on his face is just like,
there's a lot of that.
You did good, son.
Like, a lot of yelling.
It's this.
The worst part about the suit, I think, is that he doesn't talk at first, but eventually he like relearns how to talk, and then he's talking a lot, and there's a lot of close-ups of his face where the lips of the suit are like not moving at all, but you can see Dick Duroc's lips on the inside moving as he talks.
It's especially bad when they net him and he's laying there on the ground. Like, you can just see his lips moving in the suit. Yeah. I don't know. So there's a child. The strong point of this movie, there is a child. What's his name? Jude, who seems to like own a gas station or something. Like,
he works there.
Cable is running away from the bad guys, and she comes up on this gas station. This kid is just like there goes the neighborhood. He just has all these lines that are like kind of. I thought he was like a Daffy Duck kind of like role. Like he would just say like weird setup and payoff like gag lines all the time. He was just like a really goofy character, and he was good. He was fun.
It's the type of kid character they try to do in movies and get wrong, but in this, it's like the one good thing about this movie they got right.
He's not like a sweetie, annoying little kid. He's just like a funny kid.
Yeah,
and
he's always mumbling his lines too.
he's mumbling. He just gets shot in the head at one point. Like he just gets killed by one of the mercenaries, like off camera, and then Swamp Thing heals him with his magic swamp power. Thankfully, this movie, I don't know. So
I think the funniest part of this film,
yeah,
at some point shortly before or after getting netted and captured, Swamp Thing has his arm cut off.
yeah.
I think a while before. It's like the fight before the fight where he gets captured.
Yeah.
He has his arm cut off. It looks terrible because it's like clearly Dick Durock's arm is now down inside the suit, so Swamp Thing's chest has gotten much wider.
Which it should be wider anyway. He looks like shit.
Right.
He just looks like a tall dude with a green rubber on it.
Right. But later on after that, like 15 minutes later, they're like in Arcane's basement, and they're both on like the St. Paul cross thing.
The X shaped
X
torture thing.
And she's like, "You're a plant. Reach for the light and your arm will come back." And then there's like this tiny little arm, these little fingers.
It looks so bad.
It comes up to the bottom of the screen.
It's like somebody, you can tell
like a
like
little baby arm.
You can tell like somebody's pushing the vine out of the thing, like because you can see you could just like see agitation inside the suit or the fake part of the suit.
Yeah. And when the tiny little hands squeeze into a fist, it looks so
like I feel like at the start of the movie there was stuff that was good, like when Alec Holland gets the formula on him and he jumps into the swamp and like it just starts like exploding and like shooting gas and like he's on fire and he's jumping out of the building and like the stuntman on fire just like fucking explodes. Like there's an explosion on the stuntman as he's jumping out of the building and like and then there's like green light and smoke coming from behind the mercenary. Like there's some good shots and there's the shot where like the boat, like Swamp Thing like punches one of the swamp boats and there's like an explosion kind of, you know, like pretty early.
That was a pretty good.
And like that was cool looking.
The sequence is good.
And then like a lot of, as the movie goes on, it gets like worse. Like the special effects get worse. I don't know if it's just one of those like they ran out of budget and they shot it in order things. I don't know.
I don't know how Wes Craven got hooked into this. I don't know.
It's
maybe he just really liked Swamp Thing.
Yeah, I don't know. It feels, the tone is all over the place. Like it feels like a monster movie, and then it feels as it goes on, it turns into like a children's schlock fantasy movie. Because like they're in a fucking castle and like a little gnome is like leading them around, and Anton Arcane has transformed into like a purple pig creature and has a fucking claymore. It's just like swinging a sword and shit, and then like Swamp Thing has a sword fight with him with a branch. It's just like and the little gnome he trips Arcane. He's like, "Have a nice trip. See you next fall." This is a weird movie, and I don't think it's very good. So.
I want to talk about the little gnome real quick.
Okay.
So throughout the film, there's this like, he looks chubby initially while he's in his combat fatigues and everything, but it's the one henchman who's like obviously
he's a human. Dummy. You mean?
Yeah. He's obviously like the dummy of the squad. He's, you know, kind of the light comedic relief squad guy.
Yeah.
And he ends up being the one that manages to catch Swamp Thing, or he's you know, when they catch Swamp Thing, he finds like the last journal, the MacGuffin that they've been looking for, the bad guys have been looking for complete the formula. So then the bad guy like serves him wine and it's been laced with the formula, so they're like testing the formula on him. And he's like this big hulking dude. He's like, you think he's chubby at first, but then you see him in casual clothes and he's like clearly the physique of a weightlifter. Not a bodybuilder like Arnold, but like a competitive weightlifter.
It's muscular guy.
Yeah. And he drinks the stuff and he like shrinks down to like 3 feet tall and his clothes shrink with him, which is really funny.
He just turns into like a little Greek pan goblin.
Right. Yeah. And then Arcane is interrogating Swamp Thing later and he's like, Swamp Thing's like, the formula, it worked. It's real, but it draws out your essence. So that's why I became a swamp, because I love plants, and he became
a swamp.
I became a swamp man because I love plants, and he became a silly little creature because he's stupid.
Yeah, he's a stupid coward, so he became a stupid little goblin.
And I guess Arcane became,
which is weird.
Yeah, and I guess Arcane became Ganon because he was a monster at heart. Who knows?
Yeah.
He looks like fucking Ganon because he's like purplish, but he's got like fiery red hair going down his back. Weird.
It's very, I don't know. It's funny that Arcane decided to, drink it. I guess it's just his hubris as a villain.
Right.
He's like, yes. Certainly I will be a perfect evil genius creature if I drink this formula, and he just turns into a weird bat monster with a sword.
But he's back for the sequel, so, and he's the Louis, what's his name? The guy that played Arcane is back in the sequel as well.
Louis Jordan or Louis Jordan.
Yeah. So like, I guess he could turn back, maybe.
Yeah, well, he got killed, so maybe all the goo drained out of him. Like, maybe, I think in the DC, like Swamp Thing's actual origin is not because the formula draws your essence out. It's because he had the formula on him and went in the swamp and like joined with the swamp because of the formula.
Right.
I don't think it's.
But why did he go in the swamp? Because he loves it.
Right. Yeah.
It's his essence.
So maybe Arcane. Maybe they just missed the secret ingredient. Maybe Arcane should have like drank the formula and rolled around in a bunch of smart books or something. I don't know.
I'm looking at I'm like looking at screenshots and stuff of the sequel. It seems to be more like just a straight action comedy, and
the suit looks better.
I posted a couple pictures of the suit. It looks way better. I kind of want to watch it because it looks fun.
I'm based on this stuff, I am looking forward to the sequel.
I am too, because I've never seen it and I'd like to see it.
Yeah. But Swamp Thing, I don't know, maybe don't go out of your way. It is on Tubi though, so it's free, and if you do want to see the boobs, be sure to click the one that is 1 minute longer.
I would recommend it only really if like you're into Swamp Thing, I guess, for some reason, and if you're into Wes Craven. Other than that, I don't think
like what about this movie is Wes Craven?
It's not, but it's just like a weird, interesting blip.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
If you want to like watch a Wes Craven movie that you haven't seen before.
And what is
there's nothing of his style in this. There really isn't.
Right. I guess he did Scream. Which you're
Hills Have Eyes, Last House on the Left, Scream.
He did did he do the original Hills Have Eyes?
He did.
And that's from like the 70s, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this wasn't like his first.
No, this is his fourth movie.
Okay.
But I feel like A Nightmare on Elm Street, which came out after this, really put him like completely on the map.
Yeah, I think.
How many of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies did Wes Craven do?
He only did 2 of them.
Was it
one in New Nightmare?
Yeah, 1 in New Nightmare.
Oh, okay.
That's like 1 in 7. Something like that.
I would like to watch more Nightmare movies. I've only seen one, and the one that people hate.
The second one?
No.
I hate that one
I
because
guess
it's gay.
Right, yeah. There's the one people hate because it's gay. And there's Nightmare on Elm Street 2 is like an extremely gay movie.
Incredibly gay.
It's like about being gay, basically, in like a weird symbolic, like closeted way. I don't know. And like apparently the director didn't even do it on purpose and then like realized later that he did, I guess. It's a weird story. Yeah.
That's like The Matrix.
Right. Which, yeah, something you've seen.
Yep. Many times.
No,
we can watch those.
I think Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare is what it's called, right? The one where the one where it's like bad. Just bad.
Yeah. I mean, they're all... The first one is really good.
Yeah.
And then the rest, you know.
Yeah.
People like Dream Warriors?
I do.
Yeah. I think in general, yeah. I think the cool thing, the appealing thing about the movies is just the dream stuff and the special effects.
Yeah, the cool kills and Freddy's one-liners.
Which one is the one that like established that Freddy was like made a deal with the Fae people or whatever?
Probably like 4 or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He's like a dream demon. That comes a little bit later.
I feel like if there was any of them I was gonna really like, it would be Dream Warriors.
We gotta watch the first one before we watch Dream Warriors.
Yeah.
Because Nancy returns.
You gotta do it in order.
Yeah, what order would I play Metal Gear games? Release order. That's the answer to everything. Release order.
We should do the...
Please, for the love of fucking God, just play it in release order. It's not that difficult.
Yeah, release order, folks.
Let's come up with
movies, for shows, for everything.
Let's come up with a Puppet Master watch order.
That'd be good.
Sure, Puppet Master 1, 2, 3, go to sleep.
There you go. There you go.
You do 3, then you do Bunker of Blood, then you do 9.
Then you do the first 10 minutes of Puppet Master 1. No, you gotta do
Wait, retro's first. Fuck. Oh god, we're fucking it up. Anyway.
Retro and then 3, and then the first 10 minutes of Puppet Master 1, and then Curse, and then 1, 2, 4, 5, Legacy, 9, 10, 11, Dr. Death. I don't even fucking remember. I forgot about Blade, the Iron Cross. That's got to go in there somewhere.
Nah, it's got to go in the trash.
Doesn't.
I mean, yes, but you know.
Anyway, big announcement on Halloween apparently coming for the Puppet Master game. So stay tuned. That's what they said anyway.
The release date of Leech Woman, probably.
You think they're going to announce it in the game? That would be cool. They could do like an ARG in the game. You have to like find
They
notes.
They could do like Fortnite and Palpatine. Where you can find if you play on the Rick's lab level and you go to Rick's computer, you can read a message from the Capatron
from Leech
telling
Woman.
you the release date of Leech Woman. Somehow Leech Woman returned.
I think those guys are probably on a better track to direct a Puppet Master movie than we are, sadly.
Yeah.
You know?
I hope they get to.
We got to get out there. We got to direct. We got to write lore. I don't know, something.
I'm leaving YouTube comments. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I did.
Could keep doing that.
Anyway,
an AO3 account and start writing Puppet Master fan fiction, and eventually we'll get published.
anything else to say about Swamp Thing? Did we forget anything?
Don't show it to your college friends.
Yeah, do not show this to your college friends.
Show this maybe if you are particularly sleazy and have particularly sleazy college friends, you could get together. We're gonna watch a bunch of nudie scenes from movies, and then you can show the boobs from it, and then show boobs from a different movie.
One thing that I
watch
liked
Natural
about
Instincts or whatever it's called.
Basic Instinct.
Yeah, that one.
Does that even have nudie scenes, or does it just have like the
it's got
crossing scene? I've never actually seen it.
I haven't either.
One of those cultural things. One thing I liked about Swamp Thing in some of the nudity scenes is it would cut back and forth to reaction shots of this dude who looked like Dennis Hopper, kind of.
Yeah.
this long-haired Dennis Hopper looking mercenary guy, and he would just be looking straight into the camera, smiling because he's looking at the boobs. I like that.
Yeah.
That was
good.
funny. Not a great film though. Flawed for sure. I remember the show suit looking more like this suit than the sequel one, right?
I've never seen the show, so I don't know.
Well,
I kind of wish Jude had been present for any of the nude scenes just to get his
reaction.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'm wrong, actually. It looks like the 90s. Well, I don't know. It looks like kind of a mixed bag, maybe. Maybe not as good as the sequel suit, but
that looks real bad.
Oh my
he looks
god!
Like a Bobo from the Double Dragon movie.
Holy shit!
Not to continuously go back to Double Dragon. Anyway,
watch Double Dragon. Show Double Dragon to your college friends.
Yeah, and they won't know what the fucking game is, so they don't have any. They don't have any room to be disappointed by it.
Yeah, exactly.
Show Monster Squad to your college friends. I'm trying to think what else. I don't know if they'd like The Swimmer.
Dr. Phibes would be good for your college friends.
Great
if they're
for your
smart,
college
yeah. If they're they have scholarships and shit. But yeah, I guess that'll do it, and we'll be back when we can. Slushie's life turned upside down.
I would like to try and do one more episode before I leave.
Yeah,
it won't be on a Friday because I fly out on a Friday, but maybe on that Monday or that Wednesday, maybe shortly after I land. Who knows?
Yeah, certainly the time zone difference won't interfere with the episodes, but maybe watching movies will become difficult.
A little bit, yeah. The episode after I get there will be the episode where we try and kill Count. I've decided.
Okay.
Because October will be over.
Okay.
That sounds good as long as I'm still not properly working.
We'll see.
We'll figure it out.
That'd be in 6 weeks of training, and that's going to be hell. And we're not going to get into that on the podcast, but we'll see.
Maybe we will. Who knows? Anyway, we'll see when we see you. If we don't see you before Halloween, have a happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Happy. Keep it satanic.
If someone has Hocus Pocus on, change the channel.
Don't fucking watch Hocus Pocus.
Anything else.
Say goodnight, Slushie.
Good night, Slushie.